So Sonic Dream Team is out now on various Apple devices, meaning some of you are probably going to jump into mobile gaming for the very first time. Maybe you even picked up an Apple device just to play this game. Regardless of your situation, I have a few tips for you if you're going to play Sonic Dream Team, if you have played the game but you're having trouble running it, you're having trouble playing it on touch controls. If that is you, luckily there are some solutions both in-game and not that'll help you make your gameplay experience with Sonic Dream Team smoother. Firstly, in order to buy Sonic Dream Team, you can't just go into the App Store and just hit purchase willy-nilly. You have to get an Apple Arcade subscription first, which costs about $6.99 a month. You can start with a free 1-month trial, but if you just buy an Apple device, you get 3 months free, which is more than enough time to play all of Sonic Dream Team. If they release the post-game content much later though, you'll have to resubscribe, obviously. Now my first tip for playing Sonic Dream Team is to simply use a controller, as most, if not all, Apple devices support traditional controllers via Bluetooth. If you don't have the means to and you're stuck with touch controls, I have some solutions for you in a bit, but if you have an Xbox controller or even a PlayStation controller with Bluetooth connectivity, you can connect this to your Apple device by going into the Bluetooth settings and search for a new device. If you have an Xbox controller, hold down the button on the top left. If you have a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, hold down the share button and the PlayStation button to activate the Bluetooth search mode. And once the device finds the controller, just tap the controller name and then it'll pair the device like so. You should have a fairly smooth experience using the controller on whatever iPad, iPhone that you have. I should note though that it only shows the Xbox button prompts in the game, not the PlayStation ones. So if you have both an Xbox and a PlayStation controller, I recommend the Xbox One. But if you don't have a controller or you don't have the means to get one, there are some helpful tools in the settings to make the touch controls a breeze. For one, you can adjust the stick and button placement to your heart's content, placing it wherever you need. You can even flip where they're located if you're left-handed. This can be really helpful, especially if you're playing on a much larger screen like an iPad. But if you don't like having the control stick there at all times, you can change it from a static to a dynamic control stick, which will basically just show up wherever you place your thumb. That way you can just follow your thumb instead of your thumb having to be stuck to where the control stick is. And seeing as you'll be using the homing attack a lot in this game, there is an option where you can set the homing attack to either the boost button, the jump button, or both. That way you're not accidentally pressing the homing attack button when you don't want to. What's great is that the game sets to default the auto follow camera, meaning that the camera will auto rotate depending on where you're moving. You don't have to take your hands off the buttons to adjust the camera. It'll just do that automatically. And I've played most of the game like this and it works really well. I didn't even know until like near the end that there was an option to turn this off, and that's that I was playing with a controller. But if you are using a controller, you can make it so the camera doesn't follow you and you can adjust it with the right stick whenever you want. Speaking of camera, some of you are probably playing on smaller screens like an iPhone screen, or maybe you're playing on a much bigger iPad screen or a giant TV if you have an Apple TV, or you're hooking your device up to a TV. And luckily there's a setting where you can adjust how close or far the camera is away from the character. So if you have a smaller screen, you can make it so the camera is looking closer at the character, which makes it easier on your eyes. Or if you have a much bigger screen, you can set the camera farther from them. That way you can see much more. And finally, if you're running the game on an older device, or you're not getting the performance that you want from this game, there are graphics settings where you can adjust the game from very low to very high graphics, and there's a resolution scaling option to where you can lower the resolution of the game if that's not enough. I did notice some much older devices just completely disable the graphics settings because they're much older, like my iPad from 2018. That game's always running at low settings, but it's nice to see that the option is there for those who want to get more performance. Although I noticed that the low and very low settings also lower the frame rate of the game, which doesn't really make much sense to me, but I guess some games just need to be lowered to the absolute lowest settings in order to even run the game at all. So those are my tips if you want to get the most out of your Sonic Dream Team experience. As you can see, there's a lot of settings for you to use to optimize the game to your preference, so it's really cool to see that Hardlight Studio include them for all kinds of players. But if you need any more tips for Sonic Dream Team, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to get to most of your questions if you have them, and until next time, bye-bye.